Hey everybody, it's Jen with the Real Estate Roundtable, and today we have Colin Clemitson here on the episode. Colin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So, tell me a little bit about your background and what got you into real estate.
Well, what got me into real estate many years ago, and I won't tell you how long, but it's probably more than you're old. But anyhow, it was an awful long time ago. And I happened to be in a job that was involved in the supermarket business. It wasn't a bad job, but they didn't like me, so they fired me. And,
you got fired?
Well, kind of. They suggested I left. Let's put it that way. Not tomorrow, but today would be a good time. So,
right now.
Yeah, whatever you want to term that. And I went along and went to a club that I belonged to, a sporting club, and I was sitting there having a beer with a friend of mine. I told him, he said, man, I know a pal of mine, of his in turn, who he says, I don't quite know what he does. It's something to do with property. But we were talking the other day, and he said he was looking for some good guys. So why don't we go play golf on Saturday? So we did. And I met this guy, and he gave me a job as a salesman. And I knew absolutely nothing about sales. And I'd come out of being in the supermarket business. And I became a salesman, and somehow along the line, it worked out pretty well. So here I am all those years later.
When it comes to real estate, what gets you up in the morning?
That's a hard question in a sense. Lots of things. First of all, I love doing it.
Okay.
So that is a big thing. To me, real estate's not a job. In fact, I can't remember when I had a job.
So supermarket, right?
Right, way back. But it's not a job, and I just really enjoy doing it. That's number one. Number two, it makes a lot of money. And that helps a lot
That
too.
helps a lot, yeah.
Number three is it's a people business.
People.
Real estate, everybody thinks real estate's about houses or apartments or commercial or whatever it may be, and it is, of course. But it's really about people. And if you like people and you find that people are nice, and they are, because most people are nice, you get the occasional ones who are not. But if you see the good in people and you understand real estate, you've got a great combination.
How do you turn negatives into positives?
Well, I guess it's really a frame of mind more than anything else. Because it's the old half glass full, half glass empty kind of thing. To me, I guess over the years I've developed it saying, well, it's all very well to look at something and say, well, it's bad news and what am I going to do? And oh dear me, we've had it now. Compared to, well, we've got a problem, we've got to find a solution, because if we don't find a solution, well, hell, we probably won't be here tomorrow.
Right, yeah.
So it's a little bit of kind of, you got to do it, and a case of you want to do it, because it just makes you feel better to be positive rather than negative.
Yeah, of course. Partners, yay or nay?
Yay and nay. Because I've had some very good partners and some not so good partners. So I heard Mike talk earlier, and pretty much what he said was exactly right. It's a relationship. It's you sense, first of all, you sense something, because people will say something, but they don't necessarily mean what they say.
Right.
It's kind of like a guise or disguise. So it's trust. It's a sense of, I like you and I can work with you. And then it's making sure that those thoughts turn into reality.
Right.
Because a lot of people will talk a great game, but when it comes to actually doing it, well, that's a whole different story. So, and then of course trust, because no matter what, there's money involved.
Right.
And in real estate, sometimes an awful lot of money.
A lot of money.
And so you've got to be able to know that that person is looking at it from the team point of view, and not with a private agenda saying, well, how much can I get out of this versus how much will he get out of it, kind of thing. So yes and no. Nowadays, I'm probably a little bit more skeptical than I was when I was younger, but still, I've had good partners, and if I find good partners, it's a partnership. It's this thing that goes on and on. It doesn't, in my book, doesn't just happen for one deal. It would happen for
like a long-term
deals.
relationship.
Yeah.
Talk with me about social media. How's that going?
Now, I'm an absolute expert.
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness for this. I mean,
what
there's
kind
something.
of tips would you give the young kids watching?
Hire Jen. That's the best tip I can give you in social media, because I actually know nothing about it. And if it wasn't for Jen, I wouldn't even be on it. To give you an example, when she said, are you on Facebook? I said, I think so. because I get a whole lot of people who want to be my friends, and I don't even know who the hell they are. So why do they want to be my friend? So that's my extent of it. But as I say, thank God for Jen. She handles it all for me.
Tell us a little bit what we do with Castletown Property Solutions.
Well, Castletown does a couple of unique things. After being involved in many aspects, commercial, residential, financial sides of real estate, I realized, having retired and come back into the business, because I got awful bored being retired.
Tired being retired.
Tired being retired. That I wanted to be back in real estate, but I didn't want to get involved in putting my name on loans. I didn't want to be involved in having banks hound me for all the nonsense they do. When you have a commercial loan, for example, the banks knocking on your door every 3 months wanting this report and that report, and I didn't want any more of that. I didn't particularly want to use my own money. I don't mind if I have to, but I prefer not to. And I wanted something that had less risk than the normal buy, fix, and sell. So I got into the lease purchase business, the subject to business, the owner finance business, because it suited all of those situations. And that's what Castletown does basically, and that's what we specialize in. Not to say we don't, if we see a good deal somewhere, we won't buy it and maybe just wholesale it out. Yes, sure, we'll do that. But 95% of our business is, as I've just mentioned.
So a lot of people want to buy a home, but they can't qualify. How do you solve that problem?
Well, that's a good point, because that's exactly one of the reasons we're in it, apart from what I just mentioned earlier, is there are, in Sacramento, for example, the affordability index is around 32 to 34%.
So those are the people that can't afford
a mortgage.
A mortgage.
Can qualify.
Can qualify.
The balance, 66 some change percent, cannot. Now, what does that mean? It means that there's one heck of a market over here and one smaller market over there. Mm-hmm. So if you're a realtor, you're dealing with a smaller market. Mm-hmm. And we like to deal with a bigger market. So the purpose of doing what we do is so that we can offer houses to people who cannot qualify right now on a rent-to-own basis, get them into the house, get them used to home ownership, and in 2-3 years, they own the house.
How do you kind of like match the homeowners and the renters?
Homeowners, of course, there's two separate sides to the story. Getting the homeowner is getting somebody who doesn't need the cash right now to go buy another house. Somebody who has the ability to wait for the cash, or doesn't want the cash for tax reasons, or that could be another reason. Looking for buyers, we look for buyers who have had some problems. Credit problems are fine up to a point. Income problems are fine up to a point. All of these are up to a point because they have to be rectified over time. Time is 24 to 36 months. So if we feel, and this is going through our credit reporting guys as well as our credit repair guys, if we feel that we can get them on track and get them a mortgage in 24 to 36 months, and they've got the money to put on and buy the house as a normal home buyer would, that's our buyer.
Do you take over house payments?
We do. So if a seller's in trouble, wants to move, has to move. I was talking to a guy the other day. He has to move to, I think it's Minnesota. Not sure why he wants to go to Minnesota. But
gotta go.
So we're talking about taking over his payment. So yes, we do that.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. And then, so do you work with mortgage brokers too that might have people that didn't qualify for a home?
Very much. In fact, they're a very good source for us because clearly they see a lot of people, and probably 34% of the people they meet they can help, and the others they can't.
Right. So they have kind of like a dead list, and those people still want to buy a home.
They still want to buy a home. That's why we went to see him in the first place.
They should come to you.
Sure. If the mortgage broker refers them to us, we can qualify them in turn, and we will use that mortgage broker to help get them the loan in 2 to 3 years' time.
Okay, so just take some time.
Time is what we work on, yeah.
And do you work with wholesalers at all?
Sure, absolutely.
What are you kind of looking for?
Well, a wholesaler has a situation where they normally sell their houses to fix and flip guys or to buy and holds, but mainly fix and flips. And you've got to buy the house at somewhere around about 70% of ARV. Well, if the deal is a deal that is, say, at 85% ARV, The wholesaler it's a junk deal. He's got to throw it away. The lead's no use. To us, that's gold. We'll take that lead all day long. So we can make a wholesaler money when he has something that he can't use in the normal way. We can help him out.
What would be like the perfect house that you'd be looking for?
It's Mr. Average's house. Really.
Mr. Average.
Mr. Average.
Tell me a little bit about Mr. Average's house.
Well, Mr. Average likes a 3-bedroom house. He likes 2 bathrooms. He's got a wife and a couple of kids. He wants it to be safe. He wants it to be a decent neighborhood. He doesn't want crime happening left, right, and center, or cars on blocks, or any kinds of stuff like that. And he wants to know that he's basically comfortable and safe. And I think most people want that for their families, to bring them up in an environment that they can thrive in and not be scared or fearful in.
Really, just start your family and get
and
settled.
feel, nice neighborhood, bit of a community, park down the road, that kind of stuff.
What's like the price range of that Mr. Average's house?
We kind of the $350 to $450 is our soft, our really soft point. That's a wonderful place for us to be. But we do deals at $500 to $600. But we tend to like the $350 to $450 range. 3.2s. Always 3.2s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever take houses that are like a 3.1?
Occasionally, if the house has a lot of merit and we feel that there's a buyer who would look at that, yes. But generally, no, because a mother and a father and 2 kids, 1 bathroom ain't gonna cut it. And I've got 2 daughters and a wife, and I can tell you 1 bathroom would never cut it. You probably need 3 bathrooms.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
3-bedroom,
2 bedroom, 3 bathroom house. That'll do it.
So, Colin, say I had a house on the market for like 60 days. It didn't sell. I really want to, sell it. And I'm kind of looking for an alternative to the traditional, realtor sale. What do you do? If I give you a call and say, hey, I got this house, how would the transaction go? Or what would you? That's a
good question, Jen, because we do quite a few of these kinds of deals.
Okay.
And let's look at a deal that more than 60 days. Many of the people that we do, and that's called an expired listing, for example, where the listing has expired. So the listing's expired, let's say in 100 days, which is not uncommon. Now that person has had an expectation when they listed the property, it's going to sell. Oh, whoopee, we're going to sell this property. Well, time went by and they dropped the price and they did this and they did that, but 100 days later it hadn't sold. So they are really down in the dumps. And you can imagine, here I'm sitting here, my house is not selling and it's not good. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice house. Well, we've often approached people like that and said, look, so long as you don't need the cash to buy another house, we can take over the payments, we'll take over all the repairs and maintenance, we will cash you out, we'll just work at a price right now, and it will be a purchase now and a delayed cash sale. So in 24 to 36 months, you'll get your money. In the meantime, you have no problems with the house. We take over all the responsibility, all the payments, the taxes, the insurance, everything. You're out of it. You sold your house. We have it. And you get your money in 24 to 36 months.
And so when you do that, they probably get a better price on the house.
They get a much better price for the reason is there's no realtor. And therefore, there's no commission. And if you take an average house of about $400,000, just averaging a house at, say, 6%, even at 5%, it's between $20,000 and $25,000 that they are making more than they would if they sold through a realtor. But they're waiting for that money for 24 to 36 months. However, $20,000 is a lot of money.
$20,000 is a lot of money to put in your pocket. Since that commission isn't going to a realtor, how do you make your money?
We make our money by going back to what I said earlier, finding the buyer who has not got the ability to qualify for a mortgage now, can do in 24 to 36 months, and we will mark the house up to a premium for him, and he will then get his house and move in 24 to 36 months, and the seller has already sold his house and gets his cash in 24 to 36.
And then where's your cut in that?
Our cut is basically in the down payment that the buyer will give to us. That's how we make our money in that.
And how much of a down payment?
We normally want at least 3% of the purchase price of the house. So it's around about $12,000, $15,000 from a 3% of a $400,000
for a nice house. Yeah. Do you do any flips, or do you buy like really ugly houses?
No, ugly houses we run away from as fast as we can run away from. Because ugly houses cost money to fix. Now, I'm not a contractor, although I ran a business building sort of 100 houses a year, but I don't build houses, and I don't want to get involved in contracting. So no, we don't do that.
We don't do that. Okay.
Not anymore.
But say if someone had an ugly house and they, saw your advertisement or something, could you find an investor that may be interested in that ugly house?
We could, because with the Real Estate Roundtable, there's lots and lots of those kinds of investors, and we'd be more than happy to flip it over to them, and wholesale it over to them, whatever, have it handled.
So how long have you been coming to the Real Estate Roundtable?
I think it almost from the beginning. I think probably the second or third time it started. So I'm not sure how long that is. It's probably at least about a year now.
A year now, yeah. And what do you like about it?
Yeah, I just I like Eric for a start. That helps. And I like you, and I like all the people here.
That helps.
It's got a nice vibe to it because it's not formal. Mm-hmm. It's not one guy standing up and doing all the talking.
Right.
It's much more of a community kind of thing where people can move around and meet other people, and there's a lot of young people coming into it. Young meaning not in age necessarily, but young in experience, who can learn from the older guys, and that adds a nice mix to the thing. It's not all a bunch of old, investors all trying to talk about how they used to do things. It's a mixture of young and old, which is good.
And you had a great suggestion about the intro round. Can you go over that again?
I thought instead of everybody standing up and saying, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I do this, and I'm looking for that," possibly there's probably 25% of this group are investors who have got experience and know what they're doing. Possibly what we could do is have the investors stand up and say what area of expertise they like to be involved in, and then have maybe a 10 or 15 or 30-minute break where the people can go to those investors and they can pick and choose the investor arena that they want to be in, and then get to not necessarily ask a whole lot of questions, but meet with that particular investor, exchange cards, have a brief chat about what they're looking for, and then over the next week connect, and at least they're getting straight into where they want to be, as opposed to hoping somebody's going to talk to them for the rest of the evening.
Great suggestion.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to say about the Real Estate Roundtable? Or?
No, I think it's a great group, and I think it's already grown a lot, and I think over the years it's going to grow more.
If you were just starting as a real estate investor right now, what would you tell yourself?
I would say pretty much what I said now about getting together with the right kind of investor. I would figure out which arena I wanted to be in real estate, and then I would go find people who were doing that, who knew what they were doing, and I would work for them for free because it's actually the cheapest, the best thing I could get. You could get, and I would learn by watching and doing what they do, and then I've tried to do this all my life and it's failed often. I would do exactly what they told me instead of putting my spin on how it should be. So that's how I do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
you're welcome, Jen. Lovely to see you again.
Roundtable TV, and we'll see you next time.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.